Good afternoon, everyone. It is Tuesday afternoon, November 2nd. November is the month where the most intense storms develop here, certainly in the Great Lakes area, which is a novelty to me. It's a big shocker to me, a big chiddush to me. I would have thought that it's the month of March. How could you get better than March, where you have tremendous solar insolation combined with Arctic cold that is just about at its peak, only a couple months away from its peak. The sun is as hot as can be, not at least in the tropics it is. But no, November actually is the month where the storms are most intense, and we are seeing this on the weather map today, in the weather map last week, especially with the cyclone, that storm that bombed out, that moved into the northwest, and then there was this nor'easter that moved off the coast, and this is the latest. This nor'easter that moved off the coast later last week then became into a named subtropical storm. It's unbelievable. A named subtropical storm. Thank you, crowd. I just love the energy in the room. So much energy. It's just such a pleasure to, a named tropical storm. And you know what? In this situation, we have no reason not to celebrate. This storm is not going to be hitting land anywhere. That's amazing. This storm is not going to be hitting land. That's just, wow. Do we have, how come the audience is not saying hooray to that? I can't figure that one out. I don't know why the audience is not saying hooray to that. It's quite amazing to me because, we have all these devastating things and they all seem to hit land. But this time around, it's not hitting land. But we reached a new milestone today as that subtropical storm turned into a tropical storm. An actual tropical storm. I believe it made its way into the tropics. I believe that's what it means. The other possibility is that it now has the traits of 100% a tropical storm system. That's for sure. The system is getting all of its energy from the water. Quite amazing to have a nor'easter, a storm system that gets its energy from contrast in temperatures to then move on to the Atlantic and be like a hybrid and then eventually become a complete tropical storm where there's no difference in air temperatures at all. And all of the energy is coming from the warm water temperatures, and the water temperatures are not even that warm. We have barometric pressure as of yesterday was 29.2. I believe it was a strengthening system. This is just a powerhouse thing, and it's unique, and it's something we've heard the other version, the backwards version, where you have tropical storms that move on to the east coast and they combine with a front and then turn into a nor'easter. That is something that we've heard of before. But for this nor'easter to turn into a named tropical storm is absolutely, it's very noteworthy and remarkable. And one has to ask a big kasha over here. A very strong question is, why is it that the North Pacific bombs, the North Pacific powerful low pressure systems under 29.0, which also strengthen at such a rapid pace, it's also considered a bombogenesis. That's the official word. Why don't they have names? Why are there no names over there? So that's a question that we all have to ask. But this is the month of November. We certainly are seeing the storms out in the ocean. We're seeing this, but the question is, what about here in the Midwest and the South States and the East Coast? Where are the storms around here? Well, we don't have any November storm systems around here, but we do have storm systems, just not of November quality. We have a front. The Washington Post is calling it an Arctic cold front. There are other forecasters from National Weather Services that are also calling this an Arctic cold front, as the St. Louis National Weather Service, one of the forecasters, pointed out, this was on Friday, that the high pressure system is originating pretty close to the North Pole. That sounds like it is north of the Arctic Circle. It also is coming from Canada. If it would be coming from the North Pole, I believe it's a polar front, and it's not as cold as an Arctic front. But on the other hand, we do have others that are just calling this a Canadian cold front. Either way, we do have air that's pushing into this country, which was cold enough to produce 5 to 6 inches of snow at least in Nebraska. As of noon yesterday, that's the amount of snow that fell. Also parts of Wyoming as well. They certainly got a snowfall, and I don't even think it was such a major low-pressure system. This low-pressure system, whatever it was, it moved east. I don't really think it affected Chicago, but it moved east and fell basically as rain, but until it hit the Appalachians, it's starting to fall as snow again. So going into the mid-Atlantic area, that's what I imagine. I imagine that it's hitting the mid-Atlantic area. We have another spot which is probably going to be getting between 6 and 7 inches of snow. That's areas around Buffalo, New York. I don't know if Buffalo is going to be getting it. Also areas around Syracuse, New York, and also parts of Michigan from lake effect snow. These types of setups usually produce between 6 and 7 inches of snow in those areas. There's a lot of variables that have to come together this time of the year to produce that, because the lake water temperatures are unusually warm, just unusually warm. Moving right along, we have the big talk for this week is really the difference between the European computer model and the GFS computer model that has been well advertised amongst the forecast discussions for the past several days. The European computer model has had us and had this country with a colder air mass than the GFS model, and forecasters were going with the European computer model, at least in St. Louis they were, since this high pressure is originating close to the North Pole. There's a few reasons why the European computer model was forecasting what it was. I'm not going to go through all the reasons. One of them is because the trough is positively tilted, and when that happens, it allows the cold air to come further south and west than it normally would. Therefore, that seems to be what's happening. The European computer model did get it right, and we have cold air going all the way down into deep Texas. This is going to be unusually cold temperatures, even for Houston, Texas. Temperatures about 20 to 25 below zero for areas in the southern plains. Amarillo, Texas might also be getting some snowflakes. This storm system is developing today. How could it not? The contrast in temperatures is over Texas. Copious amounts of Gulf moisture is feeding into the system. This is really an ideal setup for a storm system, but the storm system is barely going to move. The front isn't really going to move much. The storm system isn't really going to move much, and it's going to slowly move towards the east, eventually making it to the East Coast by Wednesday night and Thursday. And because of its slow movement and because of the copious amounts of moisture, and the intensity of the storm, we're going to see heavy rain accumulations of 2 to 3 inches or more throughout much of the Gulf Coast. Areas on the northwest side of the storm system will be getting snowflakes. In regards to snowfall accumulation, probably not much, maybe even nothing. Usually the area of heaviest snow is the northeast part of the storm system, but in this system we're going to have to go over to the coldest part of the storm, which is the northwest part of the storm, before the precipitation starts to fall as snow. There could be some snowflakes really anywhere as far north, probably even Chicago here and there, but generally the precipitation is going to be staying to our south. So we have a number of systems. First system has gone by already. The second system's developing tonight into tomorrow. The third system is on Wednesday night into Thursday, and then we have a parade of powerful storms coming onto the Northwest Pacific. The one thing that has to be mentioned is that there is the most powerhouse storm ever. There are parts of this storm that really are unprecedented, says in the National Weather Service in Anchorage, Alaska, and this forecast, this is unbelievable. Up to 28 feet of snow will be falling in parts of southern Alaska. And in fact, the National Weather Service says, some people say they think it's been overestimated, but there are no snow gauges that go that high. Therefore, there's nobody who's able to figure out how much snow actually fell. So they're leaving it at that. So even if it's not 28 feet, nobody's going to know the difference anyways. Some places got over 10 inches of rain, and that breaks records. It's the farthest north place that there has ever been 2 consecutive days of more than 8 inches of rain. The Washington Post blames man-made climate change, and sometimes it feels almost like they're putting in these weather articles because of an agenda, this agenda to speak about man-made climate change. And so in that case, I'm just so happy that they have man-made climate change, because these articles are just awesome articles. They're written really well, and that's why they mention Arctic front, and I give heavy weight to those words. Those meteorologists really, those articles are well written. They're not written in such a way that it's like a fluffy, bogus stuff like you might find in some other weather articles that are written in such a way to grab your attention. These are really sophisticated articles that are thorough and really, really well written. Moving right along over here, we discussed plenty of stuff. We are going to be seeing colder temperatures as this strong cold front moves over to the East Coast. The areas of snow, again, will be confined to the New York, Buffalo area, places by the lake effect snow area. And other than that, it seems like confidence is increasing that this storm system is going to be moving along the Gulf Coast and then out to sea. The alternative is for the storm system to then move up the coast, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be doing that at this time. The good news for those that love warm weather is that following this, there by early or midweek, there might be one more storm in the beginning part of next week. But following that, warm temperatures return. The October weather pattern that has been here, the warm October, really, in terms of the weather, there never was an October. There were 2 Septembers. That's really what it was, just 60 days of September. There never was an October. The September weather returns by midweek. That's the latest indications. So those people who love that, you could be happy. We could hear a louder cheer than that. The fact that the Texas Panhandle might not be getting a significant snow, might not even be getting accumulating snow. What does our audience have to say to that? There's new information coming out that I heard today that there's a shortage of snowplowers. There's a shortage of people that are willing to drive their plows in the state of Illinois and many other states. There's a severe shortage in some of those states. Illinois doesn't have a severe shortage, but Illinois does have a shortage. We might have a split crowd on that, so we'll have to listen up. So I hear we have some of this crowd is quite excited to see that we're going to have finally amazing streets with snow. And, there's places in Switzerland which have snow plows, and the law in this particular town in the Swiss Alps is that there must always be 1 inch of snow on the street. It's a packed snow, so it's not dangerous. If you know how to drive in the snow plows are out. There's not 8 inches of snow. There's not 9 inches of snow. There's 1 inch of snow, and there must always be 1 inch of snow. Otherwise, the police will give you a ticket. I don't know about the police giving you a ticket, but I assume because it actually is illegal. It's a law over there. I was there. I lived there. I stayed there for 2 weeks, and I am familiar with that area, with that law, because I was there for 2 weeks. For the St. Louis area, if we want to give numbers when the warmth finally returns, get ready for this. high temperatures forecast to go back into the mid-60s by next week. And we know when forecasts are in the mid-60s, there's going to be those days where temperatures actually go into the 70s. The warmth is returning, and that's something that people could look forward to. On the other hand, how accurate are these forecasts this far out? Also considering we have tropical storms just moving to and fro in the Atlantic, and those things could affect weather patterns. But point out, this is good news. We have good news over here. There's a tropical storm which developed in a very strange way, which is not affecting people. It's not affecting people. How often do we have that? How often are people going to express their appreciation to, I never know what type of identity this podcast has. So let's leave it at that. But it's just, I think that's just great. Thank you for listening. We're going to leave off with a nice song, and which I have not picked out yet, but thank you for listening.